Hi, this is Lee Langdon. Today on the podcast, we have Jacob Oliver. Jacob is one of our young adults who is from California originally. And on this podcast, we talk about the recent wildfires that have taken place over in the Palisades and the LA area. We also talk about his career in counseling. He's been counseling others online for quite a while. And now he's in Oklahoma, and we're so glad he's with us. Okay, guys, I hope you'll listen through and learn all about Jacob. And I hope you'll say hello to Jacob next time you see him. Okay, let's jump in. Welcome to the Young Adult World podcast. Today we have Jacob Oliver. Jacob, thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Jacob, I'm curious. Let's go way back.
Okay.
And tell us where you're born. Tell us a bit about your family life when you were a kid.
Yeah, so I was born in Ventura, California, which is maybe 45 minutes to an hour north of Los Angeles. Small beach town. I'm the youngest of four. I have the oldest is a sister, and I have two brothers in between there. I feel like it was kind of your classic Southern California upbringing. I had the long blonde hair down to my shoulders. We were at the beach all the time. I played water polo for 10 years. My life up through high school was family stuff, church stuff, school, and water polo. And that was basically and hanging out with friends and going to the beach or playing Frisbee or whatever growing up. So
how close were you to the beach?
I was probably a 15, 20-minute drive from the beach.
Do you miss the beach? I mean, Oklahoma, we've got nothing. We've got nothing. If you're lucky, you go to the lake. But.
Yeah. It's funny. When I was going to college, a lot of the older generation of my family went to Pepperdine. I was talking to an uncle of mine out there, and he said, "Don't go to Pepperdine." He goes, "There's going to be too many days where you wake up for your 8 a.m. class, and you're just not going to want to go. The beach from Pepperdine, you can see the beach.
Yeah.
If you've never been, and you can see it there, and it's a really, really beautiful place." So he said, "Don't go there. You're never going to go to class." So I came out to Oklahoma for college, and the only thing to do out here is study. So it ended up being pretty good for me. Not a lot to do outside of that.
Well, before we leave California, man, recently we've had all those fires, like a ton of fires, and it's the Palisades, and I've seen pictures and actually drone footage of them flying over, like right next to Highway 1 and all of those large homes there down from Pepperdine, and I mean, they're just gone. Tell me about how close this was to you, and what do you have family there? And
yeah, this fire did not impact my family members. My dad was a fireman for 27 years.
Wow.
And so we're no strangers to fire season, which we do have in California. Those Santa Anas come in from the east, which is a really dry, hot wind. And typically it's right after summer where everything has kind of dried out because it doesn't rain in California. Most of the time they're rural fires. They kind of take out big areas of wilderness and wildland and sometimes get close to neighborhoods.
Because there's a lot of areas out there that are just kind of wild bush, it seems like. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of open land out there. And it is, since we get rain so seldomly, it's basically really quick growth in the spring and then no more rain. And so that stuff it's not really substantial. It's just bushes and so it catches really easily. It's just tender. And so, yeah, there'd be plenty of years where, Dad's gone for 2 weeks at a time fighting these bush fires. Yeah, this fire was unique, this Palisades fire, just because it was almost entirely residential, and the winds were so bad. And when the winds are that bad, I can remember being back in California, and you can see the smoke, and I was driving to and from LA for grad school, and there was fires, and you're kind of driving through. The winds get so bad that I can remember there was one year the fire was taking about an acre a second.
Oh my goodness!
The line of the fire was so bad, and the winds were so bad that it was shooting the flames up 100 feet in the air, and It's a pretty wild thing.
So when you were a kid, when your dad would go fight fires, were you aware of this? Like, did you have anxiety and feel like this tension from that at all? Or
No, it was.
he was just doing his job.
Yeah. He'd send pictures, and he's camping out in the dirt and dirt and ash all over his face. A lot of times, what you're doing there in the wildland fires, you're not really out there putting fires out. You're cutting out a lot of line where the fire is going, so it's a lot of just manual labor to try to create some type of break so the fire hits that and stops. It's pretty rare. It's not like in TV where every day there's a huge structure fire. My dad, for 30 years, he said he probably went on 5 calls where it was like fire bursting out of windows and things like that. So where we were, it was mostly medical calls, old people falling, car accidents, things like that. So it was primarily that type of work as opposed to the actual fire.
He was a hero, though, I bet.
Yes, definitely.
And you felt that as a kid, I imagine.
Yeah. I definitely had that picture of my dad of just like, oh, there's nothing he can't do.
Yeah. Okay, so you're in Ventura, your family's living there. Then what? Like, you went to grade school there? You went to high school there?
Grade school, high school, same grade school and high school as my dad. So we were all we've been there for a long time. Like I said, I started playing water polo when I was 8. And so that took up a lot of my time.
That's cool. Like, do you play through high school?
Played through high school.
That was your major sport? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we'd be in the pool 3-4 hours a day.
Man, I don't know how you guys do that. That's unbelievable. Just treading water and then raising your arms up it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, they used to make us do all kinds of stuff. I used to have to tread with those 5-gallon water jugs up over my head.
Oh my goodness.
Mostly when I got in trouble. That was a big punishment, is you had to fill it up and then hold it upside down so it poured on you, and do that 5 times or whatever. So they make you do stuff like that over and over again, to where if it's just your own body weight, it's really not that challenging.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun too. It's a fun sport. It is a challenging sport, but it's a lot of fun. And played that all the way up through high school. Went to the community college there in Ventura. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but the deal was, in my house, school wasn't very important. It wasn't a big priority. There's no one in my family has a degree. So my parents don't have degrees. My siblings don't have degrees. School was not something that was a big priority. But the rule in our house was, you either get a job after you graduate high school, you either get a job, pay rent, or you can go to school and dad will pay for half of everything. So while I was figuring it out, I actually had a cousin that had just graduated from Oklahoma Christian, and she was coming back. She got her degree in biology, and she was taking the EMT course at the community college. So she said, just do that with me. And so I jumped in and did that. That was a difficult class. I wasn't anticipating how challenging that was. At that point, I had been a lifeguard and a swim instructor at a city-run aquatic center for 7 or 8 years. And so it's like, it's just kind of more advanced lifeguarding. But I was incorrect. It was more challenging than that, but made it through. And then it was just kind of taking classes that I was dating a gal at that time, and whatever classes she took, I just kind of took. And then again, it was just, I was still working at the pool. And so it was just while I was figuring out what I was doing. So I applied, moved out to Oklahoma Christian. And so now I'm out here, Oklahoma Christian, just moved halfway across the country, 1 semester in, and I don't like what I'm doing. Switched my major. First class I took at Oklahoma Christian, and that major was parent and child relations. And sitting in the first week or 2 of that class, I knew that I wanted to be a marriage and family therapist.
So you changed to marriage and family therapy. You went through that whole process, came out on the other side with a marriage and family degree.
Yes. Well, yeah, the degree from Oklahoma Christian is family science.
Okay.
And yeah.
So you had to get post-grad.
Yeah. And
where'd you go for that?
I went to Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena. So I went back to California. I went straight from Oklahoma Christian to my master's program.
That's such a well-known school. They put a lot of theological stuff out and a lot of resources.
I had never heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
Talking to Dr. Kern of, I don't know what to do next, where to go next. He said all the best programs for marriage and family therapy are center of the country. So you not going back. And I go, well, I'm looking forward to going back to California. And so he goes, well, I guess Fuller.
I guess there's Fuller.
And I go, I don't know what that is. And he talked to me a little bit about it and their marriage and family program. And so that was the only place that I applied. got in, did that for 2 years. It's a 2-year program. My degree there is a master's in marriage and family therapy with an emphasis in medical family therapy. Really, really great experiences there. It was exhausting. Got to meet and really network with people that got me into the field. One of the professors I had there, huge influence in my life. I just spent last week with him in Amarillo, so we're still connected. He founded the type of therapy that I do, and he trained me there at Fuller.
What is that type of therapy?
It's called restoration therapy.
Okay. Tell us, what is it? What is restoration therapy? How do you put that in your own words?
Yeah, restoration therapy is the process of identifying maladaptive coping behaviors and patterns that we get into with ourselves and with relationships, being able to identify those, and then also recognize that there's something, we can feel something and that's not necessarily a truth. And so part of it is identifying the truth and recognizing and truth about identity and about relationships so that we can behave in a different way. We can choose different actions as opposed to the things that aren't really helping us work through life. And so it has a real theological basis to it. It's being able to recognize those lies that I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, I can't trust relationships, I'm overwhelmed, I'm powerless, I'm hopeless, and being able to make that change internally to what the truth is, that you are good enough, that you are worthy, that you're capable, that you're safe in the world God created for you. God is taking care of you. And then typically the actions that we choose from the truth as opposed to the pain tend to give us better results. So it's helping people recognize what those patterns are, as well as stepping into something new.
Yeah. It seems like we all have messages, patterns that we tell ourselves and get into. Do you work with kids and adults as well? Or?
So I do not work with kids. I have a pretty, it's funny the way that it turned out. I love kids. I love being around kids. I love playing with kids, but doing therapy with kids is a completely different experience. A lot of the work I do, especially early in my therapy, is insight based, and kids just don't have a lot of insight, and so I'm not well versed in play therapy and how to work through that with kids.
So you focus on adults who've kind of established these patterns and they're hearing these things, and they really need to reflect on things, and you're able to help them process. Right,
and change.
And change, of course.
A big part of it is the change. In my practice, I got a job right after grad school. Again, that same professor I was talking about set me up with a guy in San Diego, and this was 2020. So I worked remotely from Ventura in San Diego for about a year and a half, moved down to San Diego for 2 years, and in that practice became kind of the couples guy in the practice. But I also went through and got my CSAT, which is a certified sex addiction therapist. That was what my boss, he was known for in San Diego. And so when you get hired after grad school, you're somebody's associate until you get licensed. You have to get a certain number of hours. So that was his specialty. So that was something that kind of fell into my lap. So at this point now, I am a CSAT. Probably about half of my clients are addicts. And being in that world, a lot of the couples I work with are affair recovery. Yeah, our practice is set up kind of nice, where I have another coworker who works with betrayed partners. So the partners of the addicts can have someone to see. We do have someone in our office that works with kids. And so the kids can be seen. So we like to keep everything as best we can in-house and see if we can get a whole systemic change as opposed to just trying to change. I think one change to the system is helpful, but if you can get multiple parts of the system in doing their work, that healing process goes a lot smoother.
So you're working with these adults, and I'm curious about faith. Where does faith factor in? Are you known as a Christian counselor, or do you kind of keep that separate, or do you try to integrate that in? How does it play out in your counseling?
Yeah, it's not something that is like in my bio or something like that, but you get down to the bottom of my bio, and there's my degrees on there from Oklahoma Christian University and Fuller Theological Seminary. And so something they teach you to do at Fuller is integrate psychology and theology. Well, I'll say this. The way that our code of ethics works for therapists is it's not about me sharing my faith. I can step into where other people are in their place and have the resources and the knowledge and the experience to be able to talk with them through that. So it is fully dependent on the clients that come in. Some really want the scriptural, theological aspect of it, which is easy enough to incorporate, and some don't. I've had people call, I really need a CSAT, and I saw your degrees, and I don't want any of that Bible stuff.
Yeah.
And I go, yep, that's totally fine. And luckily what I found is that really good psychological research, the most current cutting edge stuff, everything is in line with what is talked about in Scripture. There's nothing that deviates, again, the good research.
Well, the truth is, how many times are you talking about Scripture without really talking about Scripture?
Exactly.
That's life, isn't it?
Exactly.
As believers, we can't just go into the world quoting Scripture all the time. We're just bringing truth with us, and the world has truth in it, and that's from God. And it's not like, oh, you need to know this is from God. It's just the reality is I'm pointing you to truth.
Right. I feel like even when I'm not incorporating, book, chapter, verse,
right,
it's still very much in line with my beliefs. And
when you're bringing what you are to the table, regardless of that, so all of that has influenced you and who you are. So
yeah, and I do tend to say that some sessions feel like this more than others, but I like to say that my sessions tend to be more spirit led. In grad school, they call that kind of your clinical gut. You don't know what's going to happen in a therapy session.
Yeah.
And so being able to trust whatever that voice is internally that says, you should probably do this or say this or try this. Or I've said it in sessions where it's just like, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but this is the thought that's on my mind right now. What comes up for you when I say that? Probably some of that's me dialing in how to listen to that voice. But it does feel like, especially when you're in the flow, when you're in that there's a big aspect of therapy that's a creative space. It's an improv. How do I improv to the point of helping this person see or recognize or understand something that we've been working on? And I definitely can't do all of that on my own.
So you've been back. It seems like I met you, I don't know, maybe a year ago. I don't know. It seems like you've been back in Oklahoma for a little while, and you've come to Memorial Road, and now you've been with us ever since you came back, haven't you?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
So I came back in May of 24.
Oh, okay.
And that was just kind of, California is for how beautiful it is. I'm not going to argue that point. It's also pretty crazy there. It's expensive. It's crowded. It's busy. It's kind of rude. I think that faith-wise, politics-wise, it did not feel congruent for me. And so coming back here, again, like I said, a lot of my childhood friends moved out here to go to school. I was the only one that went back to California. So I still had community and my childhood friends out here. I have some family out here. And so beginning of last year, I think it was in January, it was just kind of, I had this almost crushing sense of, I had a big issue with my truck and there was some finances there and California's expensive enough. And this crushing, like, I don't know how I'm ever going to get out of this. And I had a moment where it's just like, I don't have to stay here. I had already worked remote for a year and a half. I know that's a possibility. And as soon as I had that thought of, I don't have to continue to do this, I mean, one of the most impactful senses of peace I ever felt kind of rolled over me, of just like pressure off my shoulders. It felt like this is for sure the right thing to do. And so I started making arrangements, talking to people out here. So that was a decision I made in January. In May, very beginning of May, I was driving out here.
So all of your counseling is online.
Yeah,
you do
all of it
on the video screen.
All of it. I just got licensed in Oklahoma in December.
Yeah, good.
And so I talked to my boss a little bit yesterday about what that might look like to start incorporating more Oklahoma clients into that. So there might be a transition there. There might be going into my own practice. There might be all types of stuff we're
That's
exploring.
exciting.
Yeah, exploring options right now.
Yeah. Imagine doing counseling in person again. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Well, a big
nice?
part of restoration therapy is it's very experiential. And so something that I maybe is unusual with restoration therapy is there's a lot of like, hey, let's get up out of your seat, stand here, do this. A lot very directional, very let's make it real in the room and then work through it, as opposed to just talking about it and keeping it, all frontal lobe. So that's really challenging to do online. So getting back in person, there's some aspects that are appealing to me. But when I moved back here, I think I probably went to Memorial Road a couple of times.
What is it that made you land at Memorial?
I think it ended up being the size of it, knowing that there was more options to find a place where I could actually step in and build community.
What classes are you interested in?
I did the Dwell class. I just this last week did the Endeavor class.
I could see both of those being very good options for you.
Yeah, they were great. I went to, for a while, I was attending the auditorium class, the new auditorium class.
Yeah.
I probably am going to try some of the other intergenerational classes in the next couple of weeks. So just kind of getting a feel for all of them and seeing what's the best fit.
Yeah.
And again, just even having that option is really amazing.
Yeah, it is. We've got a couple of young adult classes, but then there are these other options that, young adults can go to any class they want. And that's a beautiful thing. I'm so glad that you are with us and a part of the young adult community. And at least getting to know other young adults. Have you had a good experience kind of branching out? Are you part of a small group yet or anything like that?
Not part of a small group. I had been going to the men's class on Wednesday nights, and it was a lot of really great people in there. Everyone's been really friendly, and again, I think part of that is the church culture that's built here, but another part of that is Oklahoma people are just nicer. They're more willing to look you in the eye on the sidewalk and say hello, and so it's been really great to be able to meet people and some people that I knew back from college, and so being able to plug back in has been great. I don't know if I have found this place that just feels like, at least for Sunday morning classes, that place that feels like this is a really good fit.
Yeah. Well, don't give up.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, I keep going.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Well, man, I'm so glad that you joined us today on the Young Adult World Podcast. Man, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. I hope this conversation was meaningful to you. Come find us on Instagram. Our profile is Young Adult World Podcast. Tell us what you connected with during our podcast today. This podcast is part of the Young Adult Ministry at the Memorial Road Church of Christ in Edmond, Oklahoma. Come join us sometime. There's plenty of room for everyone. If you want to reach out to us, don't hesitate to email us at youngadultworldpodcast@gmail.com. And we are so grateful for Jacob Staten. Jacob is a young adult who edits this podcast for us and keeps this thing going. So thanks, Jacob. Okay, guys, see you next time for another Young Adult World conversation.